March 2020 really changed the face of work. Am I right? Because many companies that were able to opted to move to remote work. Many were forced into it. Many had already done remote work. Can you go over to the chat and tell me, were you working remotely pre-COVID, or is that a new experience for you? You got some folks who were working, work remotely for 5 years, mostly working remote, new experience. Okay, some people had a hybrid where they had remote for a couple of days. Okay. So we're seeing this wide range of experience here in the chat where it was either a brand new experience or maybe it was something that was, it became that experience and it became our new normal. So the reality is that remote work looks like it might be here to stay in some situations and some scenarios. So we do want to talk today about how you can utilize tools like ClickUp to help streamline that remote work process. Now, one thing that I do want to note just before we dive in, we do have an upcoming webinar on people management. That one you may want to sign up for at clickup.com/webinar because there's a lot that can be done in that way. So we're going to have that full webinar about where with people management, schedule management. So you'll be able to register for that. If I remember correctly, that's in 2 weeks. And it will be a very helpful resource if you're a manager and looking for ways to be able to manage your team effectively. We'll touch on a few aspects of it, but you may find that to be a very helpful one to dive a bit deeper. So let's get started with today's content. We did hold a webinar on remote work in April 2020, but we're now presenting an updated version. We're going to go over a few important things that will help you as you are continuing to make an ongoing adjustment, whether it be permanent or hybrid, or you're just starting as a remote team. And let's go ahead and dive over into ClickUp. So right here, you can see my ClickUp workspace, and we're going to talk through the ways that you can use this to manage your remote work. So we already saw in the chat that a lot of you are working with a hybrid, or you've been working remotely for a while, or it's a brand new experience. So go ahead and tell me in the chat, what are some of the challenges that your team faces as you're working remotely? There's quite a few that I can think of. So one challenge that I've noted is keeping track of projects, understanding what's happening. Where is it there? Jillian mentioning constant emails. Kevin, handoffs, good one. Maurice, communication. Andrea, managing the work, and all of this in too many places. Julia, culture, really good one. That's a challenge. Gabrielle, tracking tasks during meetings. Oh my goodness. Talk about Zoom fatigue, which is kind of funny since we're on Zoom, but do not get me started on how many Zoom calls that I have been in the past year. So yeah, you all have done a great job outlining those issues that we're all experiencing. That's fantastic. And ClickUp, using a remote work operating system, really helps solve a lot of these problems. All that information, all those different places, keeping it all in one place is going to be paramount for helping manage that remote work. So we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about managing your projects all in one place, and how you can keep track of where everything is. What's the status? What's going on with this? How many times have you gotten that email that says, hey, how's it going on this project? And you look at that email and you freeze and you say, oh no, I don't know. I have no idea what is happening on this project. Those questions shouldn't spark an existential crisis. And with using tools like ClickUp, you can immediately know. So we're going to dig into these projects. So real quick, let's talk about the ClickUp hierarchy here and how you can utilize this best. For those of you who have used ClickUp for a while, this may be pretty basic, but bear with me. We're digging into the good stuff. So what you see on my screen here is a ClickUp workspace. And so your workspace is the main level of your account right here. So you're able to see all the things in your workspace. And it's great to think of your workspace as being like your business. Everything's all in one place. It's all self-contained. All workspaces are completely separated. And then on the inside of your workspace, you have what are called spaces. And going with the business metaphor, these are like the departments of your business. So the projects, the operations, team training, team scheduling, all of this helps you keep track of your business all in one place. How cool is that? And as you dig into this, we'll click this, you can have folders and lists and tasks inside there. So just going over that, just giving those basics, and let's dive in just a little bit. Now, when it comes to keeping track of your projects and where your team is, we do commonly recommend that you have a space for those projects. So right here, you can see that we have that space name project and a list for that project. So in the chat, again, we're having a lot of fun being very interactive. Tell me about the projects that you do. And the very specific question, are they very similar or are they different for your business? So similar or different? Similar or different? What you got in the chat? Tell me more. Okay. Oh, pretty well divided. Some are similar, some are different. Oh, very different. Excellent. Fairly similar. Super cool. And then categories. Great, great. Well, this is super cool. This is really helping. And Joe over there, drastically different. Love it. Love it. So again, when it comes to this and helping people to have those divisions and understanding all of these projects, the key is knowing how to organize them and in one place. So for those of you who have very similar projects, using lists specifically for your projects are fantastic. But when you have those folks who are looking at dramatically different or drastically different projects, here's where you can absolutely have further levels of organization. So we talked about a space and then a list for each specific projects. So your space right there is like a bucket that holds all of them. But when you have your different types of projects, let's create a folder here. And so we're going to have project type right there. And when you create it, you can have different lists added inside there. We're going to skip that because I'm going to show you something cool. Oh, just kidding. You have to have a list. So awesome list. And there we go. We'll create that folder. And now I have that project type. So for those of you who have different or drastically different projects, you can absolutely have a folder to help with some of those basic categories for organization. And as you create those projects right there, you can drag and drop to organize easily where everything is. Now, I know, this is pretty basic stuff, and how does this solve my problems, Holly? We're creating these great projects here and putting them in a folder. Woohoo! So now let's take a look at how you can use this to really help organize your sequencing, how to organize who does what. And I've enlisted the aid of my husband, Joe, and my dog, Ding Dong, to talk about how we do organize our projects and how we see what's important. You can also see at the very top here that we have a lot of different views. So I'll show you how those are able to help you as you're figuring out all of these things. So again, we have a project specifically right here that we're working on. And each item or each thing, an action item that you would need to do for that project would be your task. You'll want to set up your assignee, due dates, and of course, you can use things such as priorities, time estimates, and even time tracked for this. So creating a task for each action item, and you can use this to hold the information. Now, one of the problems that y'all identified was the issue of, well, what's the status here? And so you see that I have this super cool task for a project that I and my husband are working on, but I mark it complete. And if I mark it complete, well, yay, that's done. But how are we supposed to know if this was done ahead of time? So looking at this, let's go ahead and go to our list settings and make specific custom statuses. This is very key to being able to solve that problem of knowing what is the status and how is this going? So right here, you can see that I have to do and complete, and we call those simple statuses. But sometimes simple doesn't give you that insight that you need. So let's go to custom statuses right here. And you can see that now I have to do, in progress, and even complete. Now, we like to give you some options, whether you use a Scrum, marketing, Kanban, or Kanban, depending on how you like to pronounce it, content, all kinds of things right there. So I'm going to change the statuses for this particular project to be to do, in progress. I'm going to add a status in review because someone may need to review that. You can even choose the color for it and save. So now in this particular list, I'm going to have those different statuses, and I still have that, but we're going to refresh the page. And as soon as that refreshes, we get to see that happy ClickUp logo right there. It's very excited to show you all of these new statuses. I can click here and see this entire gamut of new statuses. So now, instead of having this task as being, well, what is the status of it? I can see that Ding Dong, as the assignee right there, has this task in progress. Now, let me throw out there another thing that remote teams may have trouble with, and a problem that we solve for you is that you can see that the task, yes, Patrick, Ding Dong is such a good dog. Thank you. Thank you. So Ding Dong has that task there in progress, and we want to be able to see what has our team completed, what has been taken care of. Here at the very top, you can say show closed, and it's going to show you everything that you have going for this project. Now, these are upside down so that the most current, the most complete things are at the top. And if you like to see things in a different order, you can just click this group by, this little caret right here, and flip that order. And don't forget, save your view and save that there for everyone. You can even auto save it as you make those changes. So right there, you can see who is the assignee, who's taking care of things, and what the status is. Now, when it comes to these projects and working through the information, who does what, how do these things happen, what's going on, the tasks have a lot of places for that information. So someone mentioned meetings as being a pain point. Use the task description for notes for your meetings. You may gather together as you have planning for a project. You may have a retrospective where you look back at the project and what happened. You can use the task description to help you with that. Now, what about if you have a recurring meeting? Let's say that you and your team get together every single week to talk about the status of a specific project. It's like a stand up where you go through the very specific things that are going. What are the blockers? Where are you making progress? Where is everyone stuck? You can absolutely use our recurring task feature for these meetings. So right here, you can see I have it set as due for tomorrow, and it is very creatively named another task, but let's just rename that. So weekly meeting. You don't have to sing it as you say it, but it makes it more fun. You can click the due date right there, set recurring, and then you can set the recurrence to happen weekly. You can even do daily, monthly, yearly, days after a trigger, or custom. We're going to go really simple here, but I'd encourage you to explore these to see what you can do. I like doing things on a schedule. It makes my life easier because I know what to do and when to do it. And then here you can choose to either create a new task so that every single meeting has their own unique task, or for meetings that happen on a recurring basis, I like using the same one over and over so that I can see the history. What did we talk about last week? What did we talk about the week before? And it serves as a record of all of the events that we have absolutely covered. So there, we're going to save that weekly on the schedule, recur forever. And Samantha, I'm not sure if days after is new, but I am very excited that it's going to be helpful for your team What a joy to hear that. So I just saved that and we're able to set that due date. And you can see that little symbol right there means that it is a recurring task. And something else that I'd like to throw out there as an option is if your meetings are a little more complex, I love using ClickUp Docs to keep track of meeting notes. And so this doc, let's just name it meeting notes. And right here, you can absolutely format it, use the nested pages for your notes. And let's take a quick peek and see if there's anything cool in our template center. If y'all don't know about doc templates, we might just change your life right here. This template center, let's browse it and let's see if there's any meeting minutes. Let's check. Oh, it's even in our remote work category. How perfect. We're going to use this ClickUp template. It might take a little second. It's going to be a tiny bit shy right there. It's thinking. Well, we're going to go back and we'll click the quick use template right there. Oh, there it is. And we added that as a nested page. And there you have those meeting minutes. So this gives you some structure. And here's the cool thing is that you can absolutely go through here and you can change it. And so there's a lot of information right there to be able to help you get started. So if you have those agenda items, you can have action items, if votes, all that good stuff. Again, have fun exploring the feature. So right here, you can add a doc right there, add new doc, and you're golden. But let's move on because we still have a lot to cover and I want to make sure we do it all. Someone also talked about sequencing events. And so there's an order of operations that goes into things, kind of like when you do math as a kid and you're doing the addition, subtraction, the multiplication, division. You have to do it in the right order. That's PEMDAS. Like right there, you have to do things in that absolute correct order. So here we have the Gantt view where you can set that order. So let's just show you real quick because this is a real life changer. Once you start using different views or different ways of seeing your work, this is going to be a life changer because it really helps you. So right here, clicking plus view, you have all of these different task views that you can utilize. It's just a different perspective of seeing your work. So the Gantt view allows you to create those dependencies so that you can see and manage your resources more effectively. So right here, let's go ahead. We'll actually pin the view because we really want this one to be up front and center. It's important. So we're going to add that view and that Gantt view right there. All of your tasks will appear and you can see all of them appearing. Now this little dot right there, we're going to just drag and drop and we've established the dependency right there. And you can drag and drop to reschedule things and to connect them. And it really makes for some fun, it's a pretty visualization of your tasks and what needs to be done before other things. You can also use the Click apps to turn on the ability to block tasks. So it's marking another task as a blocker. So for example, this task for a project, I need to have it blocking our weekly meeting. And you can absolutely set up a blocking dependency. So let's take a look at some of our options right here. We're going to let's just click that one right there. We're going to open that task. And so you can see that dependency is set right there, that little icon. Now let's go into ClickUp super fast. We're going to click your avatar. Owners and admins have that. In the Click apps, you can see that right there. And let's search dependencies. And so you get that dependency warning that tells you to warn you before closing tasks that are waiting on other tasks. So if I try to close that meeting right there, it's going to let me know that there's something else blocking it. Okay, so we showed some of that with the tasks that depend on each other. You can absolutely set that up. It's easy to plan there in that Gantt view. However, let's talk about communication because I saw a lot of people who have that communication in so many different places. So when you're managing doing tasks and doing things, let's just open Ding Dong's meeting right here that she's responsible for. So using the comments section will be very helpful. So as you have tasks that you're completing out, you can keep communication here. So let's say that I have some projects that I'm working on with my team. I can just ask them, we're going to ask Joe here, how are you feeling about your progress? We're going to actually do a little question mark, and you can turn on Command Enter or Control Enter, depending on if you're a Mac or PC person, so that you can post those comments there to your tasks. Now, I just mentioned Joe, so that's going to give him a notification, and he's going to be notified of that he needs to come respond. But you can also assign these comments. So I'm going to assign it there to Joe. And so he's going to see that appear in home. Now we can also use the reply right here and have more communication. So Joe could respond, since I'm not logged in as him, it's not going to show that. However, let me respond. It is great. He's not online to be able to answer that question, but you can see the threaded comments that are happening there for the communication of things on these tasks. And you can hit resolve and it will see who is resolved right there. So mentioning is going to give that notification, whereas assigning a comment is turning it into an action item right there. So Joe knows that he needs to take action on that, whereas the tag and the mention might just be giving an alert right there. Let's go ahead and exit that window and go over to the higher level conversations, because talking about a task is super great because you want to keep focused conversations. Super cool. But what if you want a higher level conversation? Because we have this list as an entire project. Chat view is going to help you keep the higher level conversations all in one place. So right here, you can see that I had a fascinating conversation with myself as I was setting up this workspace. I'm quite a scintillating conversationalist, if I say so myself. But here you can have those conversations with your team. So this allows you to have the communication. If you're working with clients, if you're doing a if you're talking about higher level strategies there for the things that you're doing, you can absolutely keep that conversation there in the chat view. Now, remember the hierarchy, you have your spaces, your folders, and your lists. And we've showed some of these views. You can add them on any of those locations. So if I click away from this awesome project and go to the folder level, my views are going to be different. I didn't add a chat view there. So I have this right here, my awesome project. I have that chat very specific to that. And the Gantt view that I added right here was located in this specific one. So going into this, people were asking about how can I see the progress of my projects and the things that I'm working on. So we can use custom fields for this. So right here, going into, let's look at our progress ones. So the manual one is going to be one that you mark specifically, but we can also use the auto progress, which is going to track the completion of all of these different things that are in the task. You can choose if you just want the subtask, checklist, assigned comments, you can make it work for you as you need. Now, here's the thing. Y'all were talking about having remote teams and getting everything in one place. And a lot of this is pretty simplistic. But how do you help keep everyone in one place? This is where SOPs are going to be very important. So standard operating procedures are going to be what keeps your team on point. If they are going to be working remotely, if they're going to be doing the things, they need to know how to do the things. You can't just turn around at your desk and say, hey, coworker, what do you do about this? How do I handle this? You can't just walk over to someone else's desk and help them. And so having those clear standards and operating procedures is absolutely important. So let's talk about how to create some of these. Let's take a peek and see if I set that up on the operations space right here. And let's talk about these company SOPs. Now, these ones are very company specific for this particular instance, but you can set the standards and the operating procedures for everything that you need your team to know. So, right here, you can see these nested pages, how to start a project, and you can type out all the information here about that. I happen to know that there are some doc templates coming in the next month or so that are SOPs where you'll be able to edit those. But let's talk about a few things that you can do right now. So, slash commands, code block right here. Let's say last edited, and we'll have April. We'll type it nicely. April, let's spell it right. 2021, owner Holly. And so now you can escape, and now we're going to have information. So I highly recommend using that nice little code block, setting that apart right there so you can see that relevant information. And then here's the things that you need to know. How do you start a project? Who are the stakeholders? Who should your team communicate with? How do they get started on that? And something that will be particularly helpful, because the saying goes that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if a picture is so expensive, how much is the value of a video? And that's why we have this tool that you can access right here in the bottom corner. You click that rainbow button, and oh, look, helpful tip right there. We can pin these items right there, but clip is going to be particularly helpful. So with that, you can absolutely record a clip that tells how to do the things and is walking people through how to do what and when. And so adding that clip, recording it, well, let's just say got it. That's so helpful right there. Record that clip. It does only work in Chrome or Firefox, not the desktop version of the app, but you can record those videos, helping clarify exactly what your team needs to know. So you can absolutely help your team to know what it is that they have to do. These SOPs, these right here, are going to give people that direction. It's the roadmap. Now, we're talking here about clarification for people. And when it came to transitioning for remote work and how to do the things and what the things are to do, expectations are key. So if you start using a remote operating system like ClickUp, then what's the point of using it if no one knows how to? No one knows what to do. No one knows how to do the things. You can absolutely, let's look at this team training space, and you can use ClickUp to train ClickUp. In fact, little shout out to our hiring team. We have employed more than 200 people on our team since COVID began, and they have all been trained on ClickUp using ClickUp. We use folders and lists and tasks to go through the entire onboarding process remotely. And it's absolutely incredible just how much you can cover with that. And so with this, I'm just showing you a few ideas of how you can do this. So I highly recommend having a team training space. This is where you train your team on what to do, how to use the tools and resources. A tool is only helpful if you're actually going to use this. So let's click right into this folder right here. And we can see that Holly has a folder to practice using ClickUp. I'm assigned to all of these tasks. There's all these things that I need to do. I can click and open the task and subtask. So this helps your team to know the expectations. Now, for the purposes today in particularly, you can absolutely set up your own templates. I used the practice using ClickUp folder template, which you can see is very broken apart by task, hierarchy, views, and features. But with your team, you might want to consider projects. How does your team use ClickUp? How do you do the things? So right here, you can absolutely go through a template. Let's make one for Ding Dong, okay? This will be super helpful for all of us. We're going to click that plus sign. Little life hack. When you see a plus sign or an ellipsis, that means there's a menu. So let's go over here to our template center. We're going to browse our handy dandy templates, And let's find a practice using ClickUp right there. Oh, did not get that. We can see this featured right here. And let's grab that. And oh, how fun. We're going to say ding dong. And I like the little fancy stuff. Practice using ClickUp. Ooh, spell it nice and right. And we get to import everything. Let's talk about these templates because this is beautiful right there. We're going to import everything. We can customize. So maybe you don't want to get all the views or the automations or all that stuff. You can pick and choose. It's like a buffet of features and wonderfulness. I like bringing in all the things. I can always delete stuff later. The other thing that you can do is if something has due dates, then you can also remap the due dates. So right here, you could remap it based off of a start date or based off of an end date. So for this particular case, think through, my friends, think through how you can plan your projects while working remotely. If you know that you all need to rally together and work towards a due date, you can choose that. Or you could pick, this is the kickoff date for my project. Here's where I start. And so you can choose that. And depending on how your team's working rhythm is, you can choose to skip weekends. So I'm going to do that because Ding Dong has told me she's going to lay in the sun on the back porch this Saturday and not do her tasks in ClickUp. How rude, but I can't blame her. That sounds like a glorious, or is it a rough life? Appreciate the bad pun. Thank you so much. I'll be here for the rest of the hour. Use template right there, and it's creating that folder in our team training space. We're going to give it a moment to create that folder, and we're absolutely going to close mine, and it will just give the nice page a little bit of a refresh right there. And we'll see all of Ding Dong's tasks right there. Ding Dong's practice using ClickUp folder. Now it did pull in all of those lists, all of those tasks, all of that stuff. Now, my friends, I have, oh, no, that's not an uh-oh. The created by field is showing. Phew, I thought everything was assigned to me. That was going to be a lot of tasks. Am I right? Now, the thing is, we're going to make a lot of bulk changes. So we're going to go ahead here, and right here, there's some little options that will show up. You can rename your status. You can select all. And this magical little tool here that is called the multitask toolbar is going to allow you to make those bulk changes. So I need to set the assignee for all of these tasks. Surprise, ding dong. The other cool thing is you can make a lot of changes and you can send notifications to them or not. In this case, because I'm making so many changes, I am not going to send those notifications because I don't want to overwhelm her with how many tasks she has. We can go through and later set those due dates, but they're super cool. We've changed all of those, and I can go through and do all of these later. We'll dismiss this, and you can see that I made all of those changes at once. Super helpful because I don't have time to go through and say, assignee, ding dong, assignee, ding dong. That's a waste of your time, my friends. And that's why I believe in using that multitask toolbar because it's going to help you save time. That falls in line with our mission statement is that we want to make the world more productive. And anytime that you can streamline process, I'm all for it. Now, the really cool thing is we used a really basic template here about practicing using practice using ClickUp, excuse me. And here you can absolutely save it. So let's say this that we want to use this and be, oh, excuse me, lost my train of thought right there. But let's say that we want to use this to train your team specifically in your processes. You want to train them on how to use ClickUp. By the way, this is publicly available for y'all to use, and we are working on even more templates every single day to bring even more of that training available to you to learn ClickUp using ClickUp. Super cool. So with that, you could add a list and say, new list, my business tasks. And so this would be that onboarding that you're specifically creating here. So we're going to have things like get computer. Please tell me that y'all are laughing with me over the idea of adding this to the dog's onboarding. It's just funny. accounts, she is going to look at me like I'm crazy later. And that's okay because she's a dog. She loves me. She likes to cuddle. It's rainy today, so she's been at my feet most of the day. So we're going to assign these right there. Ding dong, ding dong. Super cool. You can also save this as a template. So clicking those list settings, template center, save as template, and now you can have the business training. So this allows you to have, wow, I said allows you a lot. This is an option for you to train your team in your processes. Again, it's super cool for us to come over here and say, this is how you can use this feature. This is how you can use this feature. And your team is going to say, well, cool, but how do we use this feature? They can watch all of our webinars, but if you are working with ClickUp and you have put your projects into the platform, like here, you've set up your operations, and then your team jumps in, they're like, well, that's really cool that ClickUp does that, but how do we do that? So having those tasks right there, I clicked out of this, apologies, save as template, my business training, and saving this right here. You can save that as that template. And now you can absolutely apply that. So I want to train Joe in this business. We'll use this little plus sign right here, template center, browse templates, and we're going to add that. Oh, there it is, my business training. And we're going to use that. And let's customize this real quick. We don't want Ding Dong as an assignee to come in there. So we're going to turn that off and use that template. So in just a moment, it's creating that list. By the way, fun fact, this is called a toast message because it pops up, it pops down. It's really kind of fun to watch that right there. We're just going to give the page a little refreshy fresh, and it will show up in just a moment right there. I always love it when it gets all shy because we're all watching it right there. And you can see my business training. And we didn't bring in those assignees, which I had done there because we didn't want to have Ding Dong there as that assignee. And we're just going to assign that to Joe. Again, multitask toolbar, select all, assign, and we're going to do that to Joe. Now, here's the thing. We've talked a little bit about watchers as well, because you need to have those insights into what's happening here. So as your team is learning all the things, you may want to be a watcher. I may be wanting to see, hey, has Joe done the things? And so now I'm that watcher there for those tasks. I was actually already there, so I just removed it. So there we go. And now you can see that right there watching these. The watcher is this little eyeball here in the top corner of the task. You may not have seen that before, but that shows who all has access and who is watching them. Because this was originally created in Ding Dong's list. She was that she was the original assignee. She's still watching that. She doesn't need to know how Joe's doing. If he's learned it, I do want to see when he completes this. So being a watcher is like being CC'd on an email. You may not have action to take, but you're able to see all the things that happen. So you can absolutely be that watcher or not, up to you. You may want your team to, as they're going through this training, as they're going through these processes, this will help you to be able to see, okay, Joe's doing really good at learning the things. Ding Dong might need a little bit of coaching as the team. And that gives them that understanding of how to use things, how to do things, how you operate, as well as the tools, and helps you to see areas where you can coach them. Now, something that I'd like to show y'all is something that I do personally. And I know we're digging deep into the people management and stuff in that other webinar, so go sign up for it. It's going to be awesome. But I really love operating rhythms because as I'm working here remotely at home and my computer in my stretchy pants, who doesn't like that aspect of remote work, with my fuzzy slippers and my blanket and a nice little candle on my desk, you need to be able to say, this is what I do, and this is what I do when, and these are all the things that I'm taking care of. So in this particular instance, I want to show you what's called an operating rhythm. And so with this, I have different things that I do on a schedule. And so let's take a look at this calendar view. And you can see that I'm using recurring tasks extensively not necessarily for time blocking, because you can do this on your Google Calendar or any calendar that you use here, but you also don't necessarily want to block off all of your time. That's a super bummer, right? Because then someone tries to have a meeting with you and they say, "Oh, Holly, you have all this time blocked off and you don't have time to meet with me." Well, that's not necessarily true because as we're working remotely, there's a lot of flexibility with our team, helping them, the whole 9 yards. So creating an operating rhythm right there helps me to know what do I need to do and when. So let's say that every Monday I know that I need to have Monday meeting. So I'm going to see that's Monday, the calendar start date. We can also prioritize, but let's click that date right there. We can always set that recurring. I've already showed you a little bit of that, but the weekly on schedule, I don't want to create a new task, but I do want it to recur forever because I'm always going to have that meeting on Monday. Let's also say I know that it's going to be at 10 a.m. right there because I just did 10 a.m. It's automatically going to pull in that time. And let's save that. I also really like time estimates right there, 1 hour. And that way I can see approximately how long am I going to spend on this. And so I can see Monday meeting, 10 a.m. Let's click through the calendar to see the next week. Woohoo, Monday meeting, 10 a.m. is showing right there that recurring task. So recurring tasks are really fun because all of them haven't been created yet. But the way that ClickUp works is that on our Unlimited Plus plans, you're able to see future recurrences on the calendar view. You're not going to be able to see them on any of the other views, like list view, board view, all the other views. There's so many, we could talk about them all day, but you'll see them on your calendar. And so all of these with that dotted line around them, they haven't happened yet. They're like little, I don't want to say ghosts because ghosts are things from the past, but these are the future recurrences right there of what will come. So I can plan and I can look and see, oh, I'm going to be doing a webinar every single week on Thursday, and it's going to take 1 hour. So let's just pop back over here to that original instance of the task itself. And let's add, oh, there's that estimate. Super cool. I want to see that on my calendar though. And here you can absolutely, wow, I say absolutely a lot, but it's really cool how you can add all of these information. So clicking the settings right here is going, you can choose to show tasks from the other list. So if there are other tasks, they're going to show with that the purple bar, this one not specifically. Oh, no, I think Joe might be on there, but you can turn that on or off. I'm going to turn it off so it doesn't distract us. You could show subtasks. You can choose the colors, and I'll show you this in the folder right there in just a moment. And you can also fade out the past, week numbers, if that's important to you. So right there, that's gray. Lots of fun stuff. Always stay on this date. If it's really important to see a particular date, you can always go to it. I don't like that because it was really confusing to me when I first started using ClickUp. I had it turned on and I didn't understand why every time I opened ClickUp, it was on January of 2020. No, 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 no. I don't want to see January 2020. I want to see today. So make sure you check that. And here you can turn on what is going to show in those particular things. So the time estimates right there, I can turn that on and see all of that available to me. And of course, save view right there. We can save it and auto save. Big fan of that auto save feature. So I can plan my days. I can plan out all the things that I need to do. And this is something that I do extensively. I'm a firm believer in rhythms and being able to look at the end of the day and see what it is that I've done. What have I accomplished? What do I need to look forward to? Now, as you're looking at team and understanding this, we have Joe with an operating rhythm and I have an operating rhythm. But if I click on this space level, I can see all of the tasks right there. And I turned on the different cards and the different options to be able to see specific settings. So let's take a look at those real quick. We've colored them by list. So previously, I did the status, but now I'm showing it by list. So I've given myself that blue color because it's my favorite color. I love this shade of blue. And I gave Joe that wonderful green color. So that way all of his tasks show as green. So I can see each person's rhythm and what they have going on each day. Additionally, I wanted to see the assignee, so it made it really easy to see that. Even if I like the color, I like the assignees feature. It's all helpful. And I did choose the time estimate. So I can see Joe's is pretty basic. He spends 8 hours a day programming. And so he does all that. And I have all these varied tasks, but that helps get that idea of our rhythms and all of the things that we are doing. Highly recommend just going through and creating a list for yourself with that operating rhythm so that you're able to see those. So I do see a quick question in the Q&A that I'd like to cover for these operating rhythms. So Patrick is asking, handling operating rhythms that are the same for all of us. This is where templates are so cool. So if Ding Dong wants to have that same operating rhythm as me, then you can absolutely go through. We showed you this template center. My friends, don't reinvent the wheel. Ding Dong doesn't need to create all of these tasks. Template it out and add that template there to there. So template center, we're going to save it as a template. Do that. Let's say operating. You know what one of the hardest words in this world is to spell is rhythm. I finally mastered it because I practiced so much for this particular webinar. And so you can make it available to everyone in your workspace and you can choose what's brought in or even customize what's brought in. I don't want to pull in the assignee because they don't want to be assigned to all that. And we'll save that operating rhythm template. And now if Ding Dong wants to do that, we can just plus new list. Oh, cancel. We wanted the template center and browse templates. And you can see my templates that I saved are at the top and the ClickUp ones are down a little bit later. So when I click that, use template, Ding Dong, operating rhythm. And now you can choose customize, remap if you like, all that good stuff. So give it a moment. Boom, Ding Dong's operating rhythm. I'm going to change her color because I don't want her to have the same color as me. Let's make it easy. And you can edit colors right here. Now, friends, this is so cool. So as you have your team and all of these different lists and all these things that they're owners of, you may have project managers. You may have ways of organizing. This is client work. This is work for my business. You can add labels to these list colors. Did you know that? So cool. So that you can have lists that are for Holly. And if you use this color across your entire workspace for lists, then you can show that. So if you have program managers, project managers, however it is, using those colors makes it really easy to be able to see all the things. So we'll just say Ding Dong gets that one. We will save that. And now that list label there is Ding Dong. And so when I just hover over that, you can see that the name, the label appears right there. Nice little secret life hack there for ClickUp. And of course, I can go through and make those changes. While we're talking about life hacks, we're going to cover this real quick. Did you know that if you hover right over the assignee and press the M key, it automatically assigns to me? Pretty handy dandy little thing right there. Love those keyboard shortcuts. There's so many different things that you can do to help yourself be more productive. We're almost at time, but I want to show you one last thing that will be super helpful for your team that I highly recommend you explore, and that is home. Home right there is going to help you see the things that are assigned to you. If a task is assigned to you, it will appear in home. If it is not, it will not appear. Just also as a note, you can turn on in your workspace settings. Let's just cover this super fast. Workspace settings, we can turn it on as a personal, not that one. Let's go to my settings. There is a spot where you can turn on all my secrets. You can turn it on. Oh, it's not showing because I have other people in my workspace. But here on this workspace settings page, you could turn on personal mode if you are the only person in there, and then all tasks will automatically be assigned to you. This feature will not appear if you don't have, if you have other people in your workspace. As you can tell from my personal experience, learn from Holly right there. And so going back into home, again, all tasks that are assigned to you will appear in your home. So I can see these are the things that are starting today. They're due today. Right there, I can see the assigned comments. I can see anything that's done. If you've delegated anything, you could have that showing right there. And here's something really helpful is that you can absolutely integrate an external calendar right there. Let's click on that. Ah, nice little handy dandy hint if I click that hotspot. But right there, you could add a calendar. You could add maybe the United States calendar to show holidays for today. These are from Google, so my deepest apologies if they have gotten your holiday wrong. It is coming there from them. But you can absolutely add a national holidays calendar or sync with your Google Calendar. We do have additional calendars that are available for syncing, such as your Microsoft Outlook, as well as your iCal. You can learn more about those integration at docs.clickup.com. Lots of really cool things to see there. We are at the end of our time. And so I am going to go look at the Q&A and show and answer some questions. So I do see that our team is typing on some of these. So I'm not going to answer right as they're typing those because they are doing such a good job. Melinda, operating rhythm, so cool. How to set that up? Just have a space there for the scheduling and make a list for it. Plus, new list, plus new list, and follow your heart and call it that operating rhythm and create tasks for those things that you do each day. I use those time estimates. I use those recurring tasks and set that up. Super cool. Thanks for that. Patrick, do reminders show up from every workspace on home? Oh, yes. The workspaces are completely separated except for reminders. So if you have a workspace, multiple workspaces, then reminders are one of the few things that do cross workspaces. If you're interested in being able to see more things from different workspaces all at once, go ahead on over to feedback.clickup.com. Cast your vote on features that you would like to see. That'll be super cool. We love hearing from y'all. It's the best. Kevin is asking about a way to have staff rates for time tracking. Whew, my friend, we are going deep into that one. There are some options. I would highly recommend that you even look at the ClickUp for budgeting webinar. And let's just go over here and look at this. So ClickUp, you can see I look at lots of ClickUp pages right there, but clickup.com/webinar, we have a few different ones. Ooh, Mira, that's cool. This one's actually right now. Hey. But right here, we do have one that is ClickUp for budgeting that was presented by John. Incredible webinar. It has some personal budgeting, but it also does have some project budgeting. Now, with the staff rates for time tracking, you can use notes. There are some things that you can do with custom fields as well as formulas. So there you go. I recommend checking that one out. We have time for just a couple more questions. Jennifer, yes, the Outlook calendar feed is only a one-way sync. Go ahead over to feedback.clickup.com to vote for a two-way sync. I know our team has our eyes on that feature. Working with Microsoft products can be a little bit tricky McTrickerson, but we're working our hardest to make sure that feature is beautiful and awesome for you. Tiago is asking, forgive me if I said your name incorrectly. So a guest who sees a list in each of the spaces and visualize all the lists as if it was a folder view. Wonderful, super helpful. So when it comes to guests and ClickUp, I like recommending adding yourself as a guest and checking out what it looks like there. But everything that is shared for you is going to be at the top of this area in a space that is called Shared with Me. So you'll be able to see all the different lists right there. There isn't currently a way to see all of those lists in one page like you specifically see here, but you can have them click into each of those. Love the idea, Tiago. Go share your thoughts at feedback.clickup.com. Absolutely love it. Keep them coming. All right, we have 4 more minutes. Thank you all for joining us. If you have more questions, drop them in the Q&A. I'm watching. I'd like to answer those for you. We really appreciate you joining us. It's so much fun to get to spend this time with you, showing you some of these cool things, answering questions. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come join us for this hour. I don't take it lightly. We really appreciate the fact that you made time for this. Jennifer, webinar on workload. Super cool question. There isn't specifically, but I will pass on the feedback to our team member who is doing the webinar. Actually, let's just look here. Webinar, I'll not go too fast so I don't make anyone dizzy. But the ClickUp for people management, I'll tell Sophia and we'll get that set up right there. I'll suggest that to her for that. Thank you for that feedback. Mark, honoring dependencies when you are first scheduling. That's a great question. Why don't you write to us at help@clickup.com and tell us a little more about your use case? Margaret, I did show setting up the operating rhythm in this one. So I'm going to make sure that you get to see the replay of this webinar so that you're able to see exactly step by step how I set up my operating rhythm, and you can customize it absolutely for yourself. Vivi, thanks for the feedback. Trail on the mouse cursor, appreciate it. So with that, let's take a look real quick. And all right, we got through our questions. So wonderful. Again, like I said, thank you so much for joining. It has been a lot of fun. Make sure that you do sign up for more webinars. We have so many different options to choose from. And if you want to see a webinar, let us know. We're all ears. We love hearing from you. Thank you for joining, and I hope y'all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week.